Hey folks, it's me, Nocto Nugget 95, lovingly known as Nugs, here with you guys today to talk about a mind-bending question. Does an object exist that's not observed? I'll be answering this question, or at least attempting to, as I continue my adventures in Elden Ring, one of my absolute favorite games of all time. We'll be making our way to Godric the Grafted. We may or may not make it. It is quite the journey there. But as they say, life's about the journey, correct? So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode of Philosophy Nuggets. Before I get started today, guys, I did just want to give a little bit of a disclaimer. While I do have a religious studies degree, which often overlaps with philosophy, I don't have one specifically in philosophy. So everything I talk about today will be, we can consider self-study. I do have access to a lot of resources, so I feel pretty confident in what I'm going to be talking about. There are also some science terms. Now that one I'm not qualified to talk about beyond childhood development. My master's is in special education, so I do feel a little bit more confident talking about childhood development. However, with the quantum physics and all the other special really hard science, I pretty much am just repeating what I hear and what I've studied from verified sources. So I will try not to give any meaning to those beyond what I've heard and what actual physicists have talked about, but excuse me if I do. So the question today again is, does an object exist without observation? And I do consider that a fairly mind-bending question. Thinking about things not existing just because I'm not looking at them or not interacting with them in some way is like, whoa, how does that work? And believe it or not, existence has been around for a long time. Well, let me repeat that. Wondering about existence has been around for a long time, and it started back in ancient... Oh, I forgot about the hot guys. And I'm already dead. Great. So just for a little bit of context here, this question that I posed would be considered an ontological problem. Ontology is just really what is the true nature of things. And there is another definition that researchers use to mean parts of a system and the processes of a system. So in order to not be confused, just know that I'm going with what is the true nature of reality. Oh, I almost fell off a cliff, and I've been through here 1,000 times. We can also break that down a little bit. There are people called ontological who... Let me rephrase. There are people who would follow ontological materialism, which means that things exist outside of observation. And there are people who would follow ontological idealism, who would say that reality requires an observer. And I'm sure there's a term for this, but I don't know it right off the bat. I would like to gesture that there's a third one, which is, does reality exist at all? So let that sink in for a minute. People, and I know that I've heard that question before, does reality exist at all? So I know that's a real thing. So philosophers have actually been trying to describe existence for a very, very long time. In fact, ontology, part of metaphysics has been around since the beginning of what we would call philosophy. some of the first people to question existence, we call them Milesian philosophers. They are from a place called Malesia or Malesia or however it's pronounced in ancient Greece. Also part of metaphysics would be our guy Pythagoras. And we all know Pythagoras, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. They are trying to answer the nature of reality or find out the nature of reality through a more scientific way, although the scientific method that we know now is not what they were using back then. It was more just figuring out what materials things were made of, things of that nature. Well, after them comes this guy named Heraclitus, who is outright arguing with them, first of all. He doesn't think that the nature of existence can be described by science, or what they understood as science, but by logic itself. And so he believes there's something called the divine logos, and logos is the Greek word for logic. And so divine we know as, over everything. So put it together and it's this logic that rules over existence. And nothing can overcome it, nothing trumps it, basically. And so that's where he goes with his work. He is famous for saying the quote, "You can never step into the same river twice." And so what he's getting at there is that things are in constant flux. When you step into that river, you may view a river, but really new water is coming by you. Every single time. I didn't want that guy. Ow. We love Souls games. Alright, I think I'm gonna skip this guy. You know what? Let's go for it. Stomp. Ooh! Those halberds are nasty. Ow. All right, we failed. Okay. I think we're actually going to skip him next time. So I bring up Heraclitus again because he might not ask, does something exist if we observe it? He may ask, does the observer exist at all? Because if the true reality of nature is that everything is in flux, well, that observer is also part of that true reality and therefore also is in flux. So that observer is ever changing, and that's important. If the observer is also ever changing, how are we going to know that what they say is true? Ow. Why are they so hard? way. That was unnecessarily difficult. That's Dark Souls for you. I mean, Elden Ring. Oops. Wrong gang. In other words, does Nocto Nugget really exist, or are his cells shedding and multiplying into a new and different Nocto Nugget every minute, second, hour, day, month, year? Whatever it may be, it's going to be different according to Heraclitus. And to me, if something is different all the time, how can we trust what they have to say about reality? So I'm going to leave that one up in the air because I want to know what you guys think. Remember, if you are enjoying this video, please drop a like, comment, subscribe, and tell me what are some questions you want to have answered, or at least me attempt to answer. I'm not going to say I'm perfect at everything, although there are some things. But yeah, let me hear what you want to say. And also thank you guys who have joined me so far for being supporters. I know that I'm still learning this whole video thing, how to edit and all that. So I appreciate you as you're watching me while I'm growing. I'm gonna be a pleb and also skip this guy. He scares me. This is scary. I don't remember a thing about all this. So let's bring up yet another philosopher. His name is Parmenides, and he is also using a form of logic called deductive reasoning to try to answer his what he thinks the true nature of reality is. We got some big boys over here. Ah, got him. Parmenides, deductive reasoning, and I'll just keep this one a little shorter because it's kind of straight to the point. I like him. He says, if something exists, it can't not exist. I feel like that's new. I don't remember seeing that guy there. So if we deem something as existing, we can't deem it as not existing. One last philosopher I do want to bring up is one called Democritus, or Democritus, or however you want to pronounce it. I've heard so many different ones. And I just want to bring him up because I think it's cool. When he was looking at the true nature of reality, he decided that there was a single unit called the atom that made everything up. And that is actually where we get the term atom today.
Oh my God!
Ow! Oh, lordy. I think my problem is I need to block more. Oh, there wasn't no blocking that one. All right, my attention span has told me it's time to skip this guy too. I need to level up more. Talking about philosophy and or my comfy couch chats, if you guys have ever seen that, one of those episodes. It's hard to fight, it's hard to pay attention, so I forget to level up. So we're just gonna talk about Schrodinger's cat now. And Schrodinger's cat was a thought experiment created by Erwin Schrödinger. And he talked about, do I have everything up here? He talked about, or excuse me, in this experiment he came up with, he said to put a cat in a box with a poison, and the poison would be released on a timer that was based on radiation. And so the uranium, it's in a uranium vial, and what he did there was say, or what he said there was the uranium vial would eventually go off, but you don't know when it's gone off or whether it's even gone off. Please don't let me get beaten up by rats. I got beaten up by rats. Because you don't know if the cat is alive or dead until you look at it, all possibilities exist at the same time. So what Schrodinger's cat really gets at is that in order for you to know that something exists, well, his answer might be in order for you to know something exists, you gotta look at it. But really what it is in order for you to measure something, you have to look at it. And until then, all possibilities exist, and I would presume to say including non-existence. So look at this guy following me. So perhaps with Schrodinger's, we could say something doesn't exist until you look at it, but I really think Schrodinger's cat's look is more about measurement than it is existence, because you still know that there is a cat in the box. At least your brain knows, and that gets to my next point, which gets to object permanence. Do I want to go in there? Yeah, let's see what's up. And object permanence is a childhood development term in psychology that talks about the ability for people to remember that something they have seen is still there when they stop looking at it. And so, to me, this raises questions for our question today, more questions, because now our measurement tool is the brain, and we all know the brain is wonky sometimes. So are we really sure that something is still there? For example, well, babies don't know, sorry, oh my goodness, babies don't develop childhood permanence. Babies don't develop object permanence till about 4 to 7 months old. So for them, until 4 to 7 months old, things truly don't exist until they're looking for it. But the adults, with their measurement tools that keep this record of existence, they do know that something exists. So to me, if you put these terms together, the Schrodinger's cat and the object permanence, and that's just two of the many ways you could go about it. Like, it just raises more questions for me than it does answers. Because not only in Schrodinger's cat is existence called into question, but any possibility. What if the cat's no longer a cat? What if it's a duck? But your brain remembers that it was a cat, so surely it's going to be a cat, but it could be a duck. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Philosophy Nuggets. I'm going to be honest. The information that I've given today still doesn't quite answer the question for me. There are just too many questions that it brings up rather than answer for me to say with certainty that the answer to this question, does something exist only if we look at it, is yes. Maybe one of you viewers disagree, but I welcome disagreement. So please leave a comment explaining your thoughts. I want you to add or subtract to even my thoughts. I really don't mind. Again, that's why I love philosophy. It truly is more about the process than the answer. So guys, leave a like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to watch more episodes of Philosophy Nuggets.